because we really supported this presidential bid when his campaign vehicle then was a C-130 pilot, and it resonated to me that we need someone to pilot our country out of these troubled times. But sadly, history is not kind to him. But we are still hopeful. With years ahead of him, we are having today as a special guest Department of National Defense, Gilberto Teodoro. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ma'am Marichu Villanueva, my idol, uh, and all our friends in media. Magandang umaga po sa kanilang lahat. Pleasant good morning, and it's nice to be back here after a long time. Kapihan.
Sir, as we always do, we ask our guests to give his opening spiel, and from then on, we'll start with the conversation.
Well, first, let me beg the indulgence of Marichu here, Ichu, who has been inviting me since day one. I told her that let me work first so I'll have something to talk about. And the schedules have really been tight. But nevertheless, I thank Ichu for giving me the opportunity to articulate whenever I can, whatever I can, to explain our defense policy. Obviously, there will be areas where I cannot touch because it's beyond my remit. But I appreciate this opportunity to let the public be enlightened about what we are doing, what we regard as the true state of things and the true state of affairs. And this is part of the mission also of maintaining and explaining our positions. And given the fact that the trust rating of the Department of National Defense and all the agencies involved there is quite high, the public deserves to know what our plans are, of course, not specifically, but in general terms, and our trusts, particularly in the incoming year. Thank you very much, each and everyone. Thank you again, each.
Okay, let's start off this conversation because lately, I think it was last week when your billboards were seen in major thoroughfares and you are sending very clear signals to China. And now there are now accusations or suspicions that somebody paid for it.
Let me make the record clear that I have nothing to do with those billboards. First and foremost, because you asked the question, you deserve an answer. But if any other person asks me the question, to me, it's none of their business, particularly if they're foreign country. I gave that statement during a TV interview, and one of our supporters, who is Filipino Chinese, by the way, found it to be resonant and started posting it on electronic billboards that he owns. Out of a sense of civic duty, I presuppose, because I have had no conversations with him. But nevertheless, this is a country that prides itself and cherishes freedom of speech. And what I said was the truth. And if the truth hurts, so be it. I said it in an interview. It was flashed on a billboard without my doing. And if there be consequences, I'm ready to face them. But I just said the truth anyway. So that's that for me. Finito, and I do not owe any explanation to any foreign entity for that, because there is freedom of speech in this country, just like we allow foreign elements to participate in media fora such as this. The same should be accorded to a Filipino citizen and a public official in his or her own country. I wish other countries would afford us the opportunity to do the same.
I think somebody nervous about your political plans after the ones uh, culminating about these billboards.
If it was supposed to be a political ad, number one, the most telling thing, I wouldn't have used complicated language. I would have said it in Tagalog, Ilocano, or Bisaya. So it was really captured from an interview I gave media. And it was posted on a website. admittedly a website of my supporters, but the billboard thing was, I really had nothing to do with it. But nevertheless, I thank the supporter who flashed it on the billboard for his conviction and standing up for the rights of Filipino people in our territorial sea, our 200 nautical mile EEZ, other areas where we have sovereign jurisdiction and where we have title.
Sir, in the past, the foreign entity that's been harassing us in the West Philippine Sea, they used to harass only the white ships or the Coast Guard. But recently, I think last week, it was the gray ship that was being harassed. Is this an escalation of what this foreign entity has been doing to us?
Well, I cannot judge right now with a single isolated incident, but nevertheless, our operations within the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone will proceed according to plans. Whatever this other entity has or whatever other countries do, because it is within our legitimate rights to do so. And to reiterate, we are not provoking anybody because we are doing legitimate activities within our 200 nautical mile EEZ and other territorial jurisdictions. Now, if we enter the 200 nautical mile EEZ of other countries, then that is a clear provocation, which we have no intention of doing whatsoever.
And now here comes the latest announcement from the AFP that you are acquiring more, and the Navy and the Coast Guard acquiring modern ships, aircrafts to improve our defense capabilities.
Yes, true, because we are actually, we have re-strategized, but it hasn't come out with a document yet. But we have revised our horizons to be submitted to the president for his approval as to the next package, the revised Horizon 3 of what we need in terms of our capabilities with the mission centered on protecting the entirety of the Philippines to include the maritime and aerial domains within the said zones, the 200 nautical mile EEZ, to enable us to have full and unhampered, as much as possible, of course, full and unhampered and undisturbed uh, control over economic and other activities of the same, and for us to exercise our sovereignty as a country in the areas where we have sovereignty. And this is not merely in the West Philippine Sea, but also throughout the 360-degree archipelagic baseline starting points of our country. Let us not forget that we are an archipelagic country. We fought for this in the 1982 UNCLOS. And our existence, the wholeness, the integrity of our country resides on the integrity of these baselines. Once these baselines are disregarded or lost, then the Philippines becomes a divided, physically divided entity because all the waters around and between the islands shall be
Open.
the international waters beyond the 12 nautical mile territorial sea and not internal waters. So this is existential for our country as an archipelagic nation. And it's about time that we have a defense strategy that will put this into fruition. And I'm very thankful for the support of the legislators and the support of the majority of the Filipino people for our efforts in doing so. On the other hand, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are still internal security threats. Although these have been abated, we do not want any conflagration, no matter how small, to occur once again. And we cannot discount the fact also of subversion by foreign entities of our internal ecosystem, whether it be security, economy, political, in order to weaken us and weaken our resolve and weaken our strength to stand up for our rights.
Those are very big words, as you said. You can, if you want something to provoke the other entity, you should have use less grandiose words. But let me ask you, sir, about the revised Horizon 3.
Ichu, I think the undisputed sovereignty over the whole of the South China Sea is the most provocative statement. Would you agree or not?
Yes, it will really rile up the other entity who perhaps listening right now and
Especially
watching.
they're not anymore 9 stitches but 10 stitches.
Lumaki pa, natagtagal pa.
Oh my.
Pero sir, yung revised Horizon 3, is this the AFP modernization program?
Yes. That will be the AFP modernization program, the new revised horizons. Because with what I can disclose, a lot of the elements of the current Horizon 3 are continuations in order to complete Horizon 2. And with advanced capabilities, a lot of these things have may be obsolete already. So we have to front load as fast as possible to keep up with the technological curve. As we know, obsolescence is is something we have to deal with, and it happens faster and faster, no? Particularly in information technology. Every day you have a battle with that. I mean, like, you have to expect that incursions into your cyber systems will occur. And the question is how fast you can control the disruption. Secondly, naturally, it will mean a lot of investments in command and control. Kailangan alam ng mga daliri kung anong, alam ng mata at ng utak kung ano pong ginagawa ng daliri. Interconnectivity, interoperability with cybersecurity, and of course, more assets in the aerial and maritime domain.
Ang hirap ng trabaho, sir. May internal threats, may external threats. Andiyan pa yun, that yung ating white archipelagic coastlines, and now the cyberspace. And lately, you've been commenting about cyber internal threats to our cybersecurity. So, what's your latest take on this strings of ransomware taking place?
It's not unique to the Philippines. Even the United States has suffered ransomware before for government agencies. I mean, because there are non-state rogue actors that really make a living out of this, and we are not exempt from that. Having experience with the private sector, there are two things. Number one is not only the newness or efficiency or capacity of your hardware, but at the end of the day, a lot of these incursions that allow ransomware to enter are because of the carelessness of users, particularly in uh, consumer-based enterprises with large credit cards, large cards in force. It is the user which is the weakest link. So the fastest way to protect it is to have a great stable of cyber warriors, because every day is a battle, actually. It's not a static thing. It's not meaning to say you just buy the latest hardware, that's it. You have to have a continuous battle every day, because there's somebody that's going to find a way to intrude into your system. So it is not only a function of creating an infrastructure, but the correct cyber architecture and the correct human resource elements, which unfortunately is quite expensive. And they have a different work ethic, a different time zone, actually. But you still have to incorporate these valuable people into government, which is why we are coming up with a new Defense Department reorganization law to enable us to get the best talent which may not fit the mold of civil service employees, because we need cutting edge and out of the box thinking in thinking about asymmetric defense of a small country, particularly against bigger actors.
Those are bold words. Like, I will ask you later about it, but I would just I would like to take off from you what you're saying, carelessness of the users, and you said the weakest link are the users, and the latest victims of these are government agencies like PhilHealth, PSA, the OST. So it's just like saying, "Hoy guys, negligent kayo, careless kayo." So kami naman nabibiktima dahil sa carelessness nyo.
Hindi lang naman po ang hindi lang po ang empleyado na nitong agencies. Minsan aminado tayo meron din na nagla-login, hindi nagre-renew ng password. May mga protocols na dapat sinusunod, no? Kaya sa ibang mga ahensya, every 30 days nagpapalit po ng password yan. Every morning may question, etc. Pero yung sinasabi ko, pinaka-vulnerable po, yung membro ng publiko. Kahit ano po ang pagkatatag ng sistema, kapag kayo ay sumagot sa email na akala nyo tunay, pero isang dot lang sa email address ang mali, nag-login po kayo doon. Patay na, kompromisado na po yung sistema dahil napasukan na po ng mga masalarin ang sistema na dapat integrate. Kaya po, dapat po talagang huwag maniniwala sa phishing, huwag kong maniniwala sa email. Marami na pong babala na hindi po nagdadala ng nagpapadala ng email ang mga legitimate na mga kumpanya, nahihingi ng password, hihingin ang inyong username. Kung hindi, sa app nyo na lang po korektahin. Kung hindi, tumawag sa kanilang dedicated line.
Yes, I did that. Anyway, sir, let
At
me,
maghintay na lang po kayo kung may sasagot. Normally may sasagot naman, no?
kaya gusto ko lang i-point out, sir, sabi nga, the users are the biggest thing. Itong agencies na to, government agencies, ano ba ang sabi ni Presidente? Wala ba siyang parang riot act to them? Oy,
Can't answer that. That's Secretary Ivan's domain. Sa amin naman, in
kasi
the
national security,
yes, in Defense Department and ours, we are siloed. So it's quite resilient.
Okay. Good to know that you are siloed. Good to go. Anyway, itong sinasabi mo, sir, na DND,
Ito ay produkto ng mga civilian employees na nandoon kasi gusto ko po may ownership sila. Sa structure dito, ito po ay gagawa ng career plan nila. Gagawa po ng mga incentives nila upang ma-dedicate po sila sa department. Kasi highly skilled na po ang mga empleyado at highly trained and educated, ito po yung hinapitasin ng private sector. Kaya kailangan ho labanan mo natin sa sweldo, labanan natin sa non-monetary benefit at sa educational opportunities. Pinaka-importante po, career planning.
so this gonna be amending your charter.
Yes.
Your existing charter is how
It's Commonwealth Act number 1 as amended by Executive Order 292 and other law. But nevertheless, we would like a new Defense Department law. Kasi po, pinag-uusapan ng Defense Department, lagi po armed forces ang pinag-uusapan. Hindi po nalalaman ng publiko ang Defense Department ay nagsusupervise sa armed forces. Nagpapatakbo po ito ng hospital, Veterans Memorial Medical Center. Gumagawa po, hindi, AFP Medical Center, bilo na yon, under sa AFP yun. Sa amin is the Veterans Memorial Medical Center. Hindi, diba? Tapos ang Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, ang National Defense College of the Philippines na eskwelahan. Tapos ang government arsenal po na gumagawa ng bala, pabrika po yun. So, hindi po ito military skills. Kailangan ng administration,
production skills. At kung gagawin po natin highly technological ito, kailangan po ng technical personnel. Ngayon, sa strategic planning po, kailangan po dito ang pangunguna on the broad defense strategy. Nakukuha natin po sa National Security Policy, NSPS, and strategy. Tapos defense strategy ang gagawin. Meron kaming value added doon sa mga projections po natin. Tapos nagiging national military strategy. Yun. So kailangan din po natin ng project management expert. Mga gumagawa ng kontrata. Lapis-lapis po ang maaaring mawala sa ating pera kung mali ang pagkagawa ng kontrata. At ito ay highly technical. Kaya nga po, pag big ticket item, hihingi rin po kami ng pahinutulong o na i-hire na namin ang magagaling na law firms dito. At the end of the day, makakatipid po tayo. Dahil airtight ang kontrata. Ako man na as an executive and as a lawyer, tumitingin po ako ng kontrata, pero hindi po ako contract lawyer. May specialties na po yan. At hindi ho kakayanin ang aming infrastructure. At paulit-ulit ko po sinasabi, ang PNP proper na nagmamanage na itong mga ito, ng milyon po at nasa ilalim niya. Ang halaga po ng properties na may responsibilidad siya, ilang bilyon. Presyertos lang po yung tiyato namin.
Civilian na.
Hindi po, halo yan. May mga kailangan na ino-augmentan pa po ng AFP. Pero ang ratio is about 90-10. 90 civilian, 10%.
Sir, sinasabi mo, ang PNP law seek an exemption of civil service units ng salary, diba?
Kailangan po natin gawin yan.
Ang papati sa procurement law, yun.
Nangako po yung Kongreso na i-exempt niya ang Defense Department sa Republic Act sa AFP modernization po, no?
Okay.
And others sa Republic Act 9184 ang modernization law i-exempt niya para po tayo po pwede mamontrata ng mga pangmahabaan para sa full complement ng packages sa ating mga equipment at ma-exempt din po tayo sa mga patakaran ng State Audit Code na napakaluma na 1977 po yun. Wala pa pong internet nun. Kaya
Yung DND law mo nga, sign pa yung tracking usted yun.
hindi, Commonwealth Act number 1, kasi Manuel Quezon yun.
Pero ang galing ko sa US.
Oo.
Anyway, sir, ang flashback lang natin. You were in the DND in the past during former President Lorian Tacotalaro. And you stayed there for almost 2 years and 4 months. What do you think is that experience of yours now give you more leeway? I mean, yeah, kasi right now, as you said, you want to do better.
Siyempre po may baseline po yun. No? Pero palagay ko, ang value added ko po dito, ang experience ko sa private sector. Kasi ang private sector po ay nagmamanage tayo ng risk sa ating mga organisasyon. Ang pera ay hindi pera ng taong bayan. Ang pera nito ay may kapital, may nangangapital. At pagkamali ang desisyon, nawawala ng pera, nalulugi. Kaya ang risk management, mas matindi po dito. Kaya po, ang ating mga organisasyon sa private sector, napakabilis mag-responde sa mga crisis. Katulad po nung isang kumpanya na aking pinagsilbihan bilang direktor, kinakailangan itong bukas sa pandemic. Kung hindi makaka-withdraw ng pera, ako mawalang po ng kanilang pang-araw-araw na gastusin at magkakapanik kung nagsara. Kaagad ng transforming organization, wala pong na-fire out ng empleyado, wala pong na-lay off, nalagaan po namin ang empleyado namin, sinaylo namin si essential services, Nag-reshape kami ng organization, nag-reshape kami ng mga units, madali. Pati ho yung expansion nito mga kumpanya na to meet international competition and market condition. And also, very important, to meet yung kinakailangan ng reportorial and compliance requirements ng gobyerno na nagkakahalaga ng bilyon taon-taon ang gasto. Kailangan mabilis. Hindi po ganun ang gobyerno. Ang gobyerno ho natin ay nakakapalasak. Ang nakatalikala oo, rigid ng ating organization. Hindi na po pwede yan.
More leeway, more flexibility.
More flexibility, more agility.
So, pag sa TNT law, aalisin mo na AFP?
Ande, supervisory lang naman po kami sa AFP. Ang role po ng TNT sa AFP ay supervisory and advisory to the President. Kasi ang role ng AFP is really the military arm of the government commanded by the President as Commander-in-Chief, where the Secretary of Defense is the principal advisor of the President. So, yung resource management ng armed forces, creation and expandment of units, commendation for discipline and other guidance, strategic review, nasa akin po yun. Pero ang direktong operational control nasa President.
So, to serve yung aspect na yun.
Kami po, kumbaga, ang armed forces at ang apat na ahensya, sila po ang teller ng bangko. Ang DND po ay nasa likod, hindi nyo nakikita, yan na nagpo-process ng mga deposito, yan ang nagpapaganda ng mga branch, yan po ang nagpo-process ng withdrawal, nagre-report sa BSP kung anong ginawa ng branch sa araw-araw. So yun po ang trabaho namin para masuportahan ang frontline natin. Kumbaga, kayo po ang writers sa opinion writers. Kami naman po ang editorial, advertising. O hindi, walang buhay din ng dyaryo kung puro kolumnista lang.
Kasi klase na si alam mo yun.
Dr. Juanito. Juanito.
Anyway, our private job. You have initially tackled external threats. We'll go back there later. You mentioned internal threats have been substantially reduced. Let's take up one by one. What are these internal threats and how reduced are they?
CPP, NPA, NDF. Nandiyan pa rin po sila. Pero significantly reduced na sila. Ganun pa man. Ganun pa man, we have to be on guard kasi the smaller they are, the more propensity for them to make a bigger statement in foolishness and other stuff. You know? So we have to never bring our guard down in any threat, no? Internally or externally, just like the experience of other countries in the recent week. Now, separatist movements, resolved na po siya to a certain degree, ngunit the potential, once again, for those who may want to sabotage the peace process and internecine fighting between and among stakeholders sa rito, sa lupa, baka itong bunga na naman. Yung ASG, marginalized na po sila, pero hindi po rin tayo makakasigurado eh. Kasi the more you say na tapos na ang problema, the more ito maengganyo minsan na manira eh. Maute. Tuloy-tuloy po ang ating mga operations laban sa kanila. At what is encouraging through the efforts po of the NGUs, napakadami po sumusuko na on that end, no? Because the government is expending a lot of resources trying to rehabilitate them actually. So, that being the case, it's very encouraging, ngunit hindi po rin tayo pwedeng magpabaya. Secondly po, ang ating inaano is the infiltration by foreign elements of the country, which is we've been hearing reports, and we have to keep a close tab of this. distinguishing bona fide investments, bona fide capital formation, which will give jobs to our countrymen, which will keep our environment safe, which will not destabilize our external territorial arrangements from those fly-by-night elements that just want to make a quick buck from their own country and using this place as safe haven, the importation of illicit substances or substandard substances which compete with bona fide businesses in this country, and other nefarious activities.
Sir, let's start with pabalik yung sabi na infiltration of foreign elements. Have you detected Hamas? Kasi di pa, in the past we have captured JR, ISIS. Ngayon, kita on Israeli, madagdagan pa ating mga infiltration of the
Wala pa ako personal na nakita, no? Pero of course, I was talking to General Bronner yesterday. He came from Marawi, and he gave the commanders on the ground the instruction to maintain increased vigilance and awareness on the ground. No? And the best way, and the most effective way, really, is the local security and peace process settlement. Kasi sa community, alam na ng mga tao kung sino ang dayo, sino ang hindi. At kung ito'y suspityoso at ito'y hindi. Also, related to that, there is a move now. There was a DLLG sponsored partnership the other day against violent and radical extremism. Ang objective nito ay magturo sa ating mga madaris at ibang mga ulama ng tamang Islam. Kasi po, mapapansin po natin, Islam is an Arabic-based religion. Pag hindi po marunong ng Arabic ang ating mga ustads, hindi nila maintindihan ang tunay na ibig sabihin ng Islam at ng Hadith at iba pang mga sulat ng mga scholars, kaya mo pong madali itong masway. So, with the local leaders, with these kinds of engagements, we have to educate our Islam brothers, our Muslim brothers, to to be able to distinguish and discern what is radicalization and what's their true religion.
Sir, National Security Deputy Secretary revealed the other day that the Hamas tried to infiltrate the Philippines sometime in 2020 and 2012. Are there presence here or
Wala akong nakikita, but maybe that's a search as a warning that there was an attempt before and there may be a spill-off again, because naturally, as they are driven away from their strongholds, they'll try to seek safe haven elsewhere and try to regroup or the try to spread the strife, no? Particularly in the Islamic communities.
in our Islamic community, as you said, are holding on, are keeping on with their peace process agreement with the Philippine government?
So I think they're tired of, I think they're really tired of conflict.
And this was sponsored no less by the OIC.
In the beginning, yes. Yeah. So really right now, the Middle East is also a paradox to me. I mean, it's quite fragmented, as we know. So the best thing to do really is to remain resilient among fellow Filipinos and to find a common ground where we can agree with, respecting the religious views of each and every one, and respecting their freedom of speech. Of course, there are limits, but we have basic freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the freedom to practice what they want to believe, and tolerance. No? But tolerance is built on mutual education as to what the other believes in. So their boundaries we do not cross to be religiously and politically correct.
And this,
Unlike other entities which don't have freedom of speech, but they revel in freedom of speech.
I remember that tolerance during the Ramos administration. We really practiced that tolerance. Clinical nga. Anyway, sir, on the CPP and BA, you said uh, significantly reduced, so there is no more chance of any peace talks with them.
I find that right now there is no need for any peace talk whatsoever because the gains are there, and the president has already announced that there will be an amnesty coming out, and the amnesty proclamation is being drafted and it's going to be submitted to Congress. You know what? What is important is that you have to realize amnesty goes directly to the person. It is an invitation by the government to the individual that you come back, will wipe the slate clean, basta bona fide members of the organization. Ano. So the individuals have, hopefully, that freedom of choice for themselves. In the terms of peace talks, on the other hand, you you entrust your future to a third party, that organization, which may have an agenda different from your own. Your agenda maybe you want to fight for a better life. You want to see your family. But you subsume this agenda to the political agenda of another entity. That's why this is where amnesty goes to. It does not go to an organization, but to the individual,
So,
which is what's happening now. They're surrendering.
so this new amnesty proclamation will be dedicated to the CPP and
No,
PA.
I think it will have several components also.
General amnesty for rebels, separatists.
Specific amnesty, I believe, for specific groups that have not totally attained.
Oo.
Kasi meron pa rin other element. Ang kinatatakutan ng iba, for example, member ng MN or whatever, hindi maka-totally surrender kasi may existing warrants of arrest.
Oo.
Ngayon, kung ma-amnesty to, ma-process sila na legitimate sila, wala nang balakid sa kanilang surrender.
But diba you are already decommissioning the MN and MI and in fact letting them to the AFP and police?
May mga iba na hindi sumama. Yun ang pagkaintindi ko.
Kasi may pending charges and
Oo.
that's the idea of the amnesty.
Yes.
So open to
Plus
all
RPA, ibigin mo araw, tsaka iba pa.
general amnesty. So this NTFL track is under DND? No. Interagency pala to.
Oo. Kaya National Task Force na.
So under what agency supervises it?
National Security.
NSA. So may representative lang kayo.
May representative na.
Okay. At nabanggit mo sa kanina yung the surrender. Diba, it's a big slap on the face of AFP when they presented a supposedly surrendering when in fact in the press con they declared they were actually abducted by the time.
We have already filed charges against these two. And I was informed that subpoenas have already been issued against them for preliminary investigation for perjury and grave slander. I reviewed the case personally, and I was convinced that they were lying.
So, di ba may part 2 pa yan, may mga another group na ganun din, na-attack
These two
to a
in
specific.
Bulacan. And I said that if we find and we are sure that there was a bona fide case, we will file the cases. We already filed them 2 weeks ago. Without media fanfare, I said we would do it, and we did it.
Okay, so,
Now it's up to the prosecutors already. They will be given due process.
so the
Because I will not allow serious processes to be used as a theater, you know, to shame the AFP. In that sense, also I have also enjoined the AFP to strictly follow AFP procedures.
kasi somebody messed up from the military.
I would not know, but I would like to take the military to take full responsibility for their actions.
You mean,
In this case, I'm sure that no wrongdoing was done.
but somebody messed up from the military for their failure to first filter the school and causing them embarrassment.
Well, they acted in good faith. They acted in good faith. Even the stepfather of one of the surrenderies even was there. He ensured that these two were not intimidated or abducted. He even offered to lend, to provide private counsel to his stepdaughter, which his stepdaughter refused. So this was a scripted act, really, to embarrass
What specific group pa silang belong?
NPA,
Um, so,
according to the report. NPA.
so on the part of the military, absorbed sila sa kasi may good faith, as you said.
Not only good faith, wala talagang abduction dito.
Pero naisahan sila.
Well,
What happened to the intelligence?
at that I do not know. Ang importante lang sa akin, napailan ko ng search ng itong mga potensyal mali.
And speaking of intelligence, the burning issue on intelligence, and you are the DND and AFP are the direct beneficiary of the realignment of confidential and intelligence funds, more so on intelligence funds because you need it for security purposes. How do you intend to use judiciously this war intelligence?
Well,
How much pa nakuha niyo?
hindi wala pang pinag sa akin.
How do you intend to use?
Well, naturally, as I was talking to you about yesterday, we need to increase our operational security. That is the number one item of the exercise. And in order for us to interoperate, to freely be interoperable with donor governments and agencies, we need to shore up our operational security and other infrastructure. We need also to firm up our capabilities to have a more active security stance and to be able to keep up, to be able to keep up with the technological advances of those who are on the opposite side. I mean, they're not static either. And we need these. And normally, these capabilities, these services cannot be acquired on a non-secure basis. Even companies, they cannot NDAs anymore. So it's the same.
With transparency pa rin when it comes to
Internally, meron. Pero the proof of the pudding is, maputasan tayo kung may mangyaring masama na preventable, sana, yun ay palatandaan na hindi ginamit ng tao.
how much budget pa ang DND for next year?
279 billion or 249, 279 billion.
So wala pang final, it's ongoing pa.
Ongoing pa.
Opo. On the external, let's go back to external. Kasi currently, you are definitely, the AFP is with US, Canada, Australia, Indo-Pacific,
Japan,
Japan,
South Korea,
South Korea.
New Zealand.
Yes. How do you intend to get the best out of this?
First, we have to prove our capability, that we have the infrastructure to use the best. We have to prove that we can support the continuous use of the capabilities and that we are operationally secure. This is the thrust of what I'm trying to do, actually, to build the foundations of secure and sound sustainability in operations. Hindi yung piecemeal or whatnot. It should be systematic. And we're trying to build the culture in human resources, in systems, and I don't like to use the word doctrines because nothing is doctrinal anymore nowadays. It changes. That is the foundation before we can start to be a bona fide recipient of quality technology for them. If not, we'll be an end user always. where we cannot develop the technologies because the intellectual property rights remain with the seller.
Yes.
Now, we'll talk about the SRDP. What is the SRDP now? Self-Reliance Defense Program or Posture. There is a move also in Congress to enhance our SRDP to enable us to locally manufacture processes, equipment, which are top of the line, which we cannot buy because they have not been used in the country of origin for at least 2 years. And these products, some of them, in particularly small arms, are being sold abroad, not here.
Hindi black market.
Hindi, legal po, legal. Now, ang gusto ko rin mangyari, lalo na sa emerging and disruptive technologies, wari nyo, software, advanced technologies, kailangan mga kapital din tayo sa abroad. Para sa ganun, co-owner tayo ng mga proseso. Katulad ng F-35, yung jet na F-35.
Yes.
Ito ay gawa ng United States. Maraming bansa na nagsasabi, nahirapan sila sa maintenance kasi mahal nga.
Spare parts.
Oo. Tinanong ko yung Netherlands, meron silang F-35.
Okay.
Kaka-problema ba kayo? Hindi. Bakit? Level 2 partner kami, investor kami, kumikita nga kami sa investment.
Partners with US.
Yes. So, ganun din dapat tayo. Doon tayo kikita. Makaka-outsource tayo ng mga proseso dito. So, kasama tayo sa fertilization ng embryo. Hindi ba?
Yeah.
Kesa sa mag-a-adapt naman tayo after. Sorry to use the but I cannot use
Parallelism.
parallelism. Di ba? Oo. Startup. Venture capital is startup. Ganun ka lang pwedeng
But do we have the money for that?
meron. Kasi ang technology kasi kasama ng DOST, merong pondo yan.
Yes.
Kasi pag hindi, sabihin natin, huwag tayong mag-invest sa research and development. Tignan nyo, ang ating mga colleges and universities, pati AIM, bumababa ang practice kahit walang research and development. Walang publications. May risk yan eh. Yung research na gawa ng Pilipino, ginagawa sa ibang bansa. Kasi gusto nila mag-risk. Parang investor din naman niya kahit anong negosyo, sumusugal kayo. Ganun din naman dito. Risk reward yan.
How soon can we arrive to that kind of situation?
Okay, the law will be, as I'm expecting it, will be enacted by Congress by December.
This year, what was that?
The enhancement of the self-reliant defense posture.
A separate pa sa DND law.
Maliban pa yun, SRTP yun.
Why does it need separate law? Because it's funded.
Kasi it's multi-agency.
Okay.
Hindi lang DND, PCI.
Para investment.
Oo. Meron yan nung araw.
Oh.
Pero ang thinking nung araw ay yung ginagawa sa abroad, gagamit tayo ng materialis natin dito, sa substitute natin. Kumbaga yung mga jeep, wagoneer
Yes.
nung araw, naghiharapas dito. Hindi na pwede yun sa IT at saka sa durability ng equipment. Kaya mabuti makipagkapital ka na lang sa abroad kasi hindi nila i-share yan kung hindi home country yan. Kumuha ka na lang ng IPR rights para co-owner ka.
So how much are you asking in this law?
Wala pang notional amount. Mag-uusap pa kami ni For me, it's just the vehicle to allow us to do so.
Policy.
And then, Secretary Solidum, myself, and maybe other funds, venture capital funds. Yeah, we can go together. Kasi kung sa private sector naman, although medyo mahirapan because investments in defense, napakahirap nito kasi mga bangko bawal magpautang sa defense industries katulad na magpautang sa tobacco companies or sa green
You mean Philippine Bank?
That's a worldwide gray list.
Okay.
Meron mga bangko na nagpapautang pero may tinatawag na gray list.
Oh.
Yung mga coal, bawal yan. Coal plant.
Not environment friendly.
Oo, kasi
Decarbonization.
maraming ganon na sometimes it's also a policy question kasi kailangan mo rin minsan ng coal kasi mahal yung iba. So, yung defense or weapons manufacturing, number one na kailangan state finance yan kasi bawal na makakuha ng private financing dyan.
Magkakaroon ka rin ng investment vehicle for defense. Bakit hindi ba pwede itapang Maharlika Investment Fund? And by the way, it was suspended ang implementation.
Hindi, isa yun sa pwede natin itap.
Okay.
Isisiguraduhin lang kung sino man ang administrador no,
Oo.
meron reasonable rate of return. Yung projections niya ay may due diligence, may fairness opinions, may business case.
Oo.
Everything relies on the business case talaga.
So that can be a vehicle also MIM.
Sure.
Sir, ito nakita ko sa Twitter lang, sa AFP, saying, nakaka-wabalit pa lang ng mga AFP officers from a training or seminar with Japan. What came to my mind was the recent incident when we sent to Beijing with our military men for some sort of training. Di ba hindi na natuloy yun dahil their attention was called, but punta ng Beijing. So what's your policy?
Okay, sa ngayon, wag muna. Kasi medyo mainit nga yung may tense of situation.
Hindi sa China.
Oh, but in the future, kailangan din. Kasi kailangan din natin makakuha, makakalap ng knowledge kung ano ang bansa nila. Singapore, for one, heavy ang investment nila na magpapadala ng mga eksperto na mag-aral no? sa China. Sa two-way street, kahit yung mga Mandarin speakers dito, pag hindi nagbabad doon, hindi rin makukuha ang nuances ng salita. Kaya ako, kami nga ng boss mo, 12 taon kami na nag-aral na may napulot ba kami? Wala. So it really needs dedication, immersion, and you have to know your, you have to know everybody. Sinabi ko nga sa Thai ambassador noong isang araw, meron ba tayong Thai speaker sa armed forces? Wala. Kailangan din. Nagtanong ako sa chaplain corps natin. 8 lang ang imam sa armed forces. Kaya kailangan dagdagan niya. Wala silang recruitment policy pa sa mga imam, dahil mahirap na. At pwede natin pag-aralin sa tamang
na mataris.
hindi lang mataris sa foreign na, kasi magiging ustads na yung mga yan eh, hindi lang mataris.
So, ang policy guidance mo is, for now, not in China, but still tension.
Wag muna. Pero in the future, oo. At kailangan mag-lecture din ang Chinese experts dito. Alam mo, academic freedom is academic freedom eh. Alitan ng opinion yan. May mapupulot din naman tayo sa kanila. Basta controlled yung environment na walang infiltration na nangyayari.
Okay. My last topic with you before I open this to the floor, MUP, and approved na sa House, and your version na has somewhat been adopted by the House version.
Yes, and we thank the legislators for that.
But it still have to go through the Senate. So how do you intend to campaign for your version?
No, I think the Senate has been very receptive already, even ahead. No? They've been very receptive to the calls for the men and women in uniform currently in service, and particularly the retirees, who are the voice of these people. Because due to professional and military regulations, they cannot, no matter how you consult with them, hindi magsasalita yan.
Kasi going around sila,
nagpakonsultation. Kung ako, sabihin ko, mag-voice out kayo, may magsasalita pa, hindi naman natural kasi may military discipline yan.
Kasi ang EOF kept saying we conducted consultation meetings with the various military camps, and
I agree, but I think the resonance was not decent. So I mean, that's why I have to come out with a respectful statement of concern. Ngayon, I'm thankful both houses of legislature are very supportive. And I will be busy naman also creating a retirement trust fund for the new entrants who will contribute. No?
You are creating a new one.
Yes, for the armed forces. Let us remember there are only 134,000 pensioners in the armed forces, and that will not grow anymore.
300.
134,000. At
Okay.
hindi nalalaki yan eh,
Retirees.
pensioners.
Pensioners.
Kasi ang armed forces size ngayon, ganun na lang yan. Very little na lang kung lumaki yan. Hindi katulad ng police, kailangan lumaki based on the number of the population. No? So, yan, madali nang i-manage yan kasi ang requirements mo on a projected cash flow basis, medyo fixed na yan. No? Ngayon, meron tayong real estate assets na iaambag natin dun sa trust fund, no? Ngayon, may custodian yan, trust custodian, and then trust administrator. Nahiwalay yun. Ang trust administrator, most likely will be the GSIS. Sila na magtatakbo niyan kasi sila ang eksperto niyan. Kasi ang armed forces or ang DND hindi eksperto pumasok sa mga joint venture yan. Eh. Trabaho ng GSIS yan, pati company due diligence, hindi namin kaya. So, sila na yan. So, ipapasok yan. Now, in case any financial intervention is needed in the future, I think we can revisit it when passions have subsided and it is approached on a mature and logical basis.
You know, sir, 134 pensioners and you no longer 1,000. You no longer this. But the problem is, the real problem is, nadadagdagan pa. I mean, hindi, kasi naipapass on sa kanilang wife, sa children. So talaga hindi nabababa yun.
Ito may pasa na nga ito.
May pasa na tuloy na to.
Yung lagay na yan.
Pero hindi na nag-increase since when?
Hindi, constant na yan sa ngayon.
Okay.
Naging naturally.
Oo.
Pero ang pinakamalaking increase, yung tinoble yung base pay ng ating mga sundalo.
Okay.
Kaya nag-increase yan, naging exponential yung increase.
Oo.
Pero ngayon, we can live with that already. Tapos may guarantee increases sila na manageable yan eh. Manageable yan eh. So, meron na nga tayong pag-aambag. Sa AFP lang hindi ko sagutin ang ibang mga agencies
Okay.
dahil hindi ko mandate yan.
Yeah, PNP.
Hindi ko mandate yan. Kaya,
BFP, sa BIL.
no, that's not my mandate. Even the Coast Guard is not that mandate. But
PO.
I'm sure they can raise funds from other sources.
Yes. Sabi mo, real estate property ang magiging trust fund.
Yes.
What particular real estate property?
Yung nasa RSPS, yung mga non-strategic military reservations, pwede natin ipasok dyan sa trust fund. Mantabi-labi yan. Ngayon, ang sakit ng ulo ko, meron 177 properties na medyo magaganda at malalaki. Nililinis ko po yung titulo.
177 pieces of
Yeah.
dami yan all over the Philippines.
Yes.
All land
Kaya
estate.
nga po, ni-request ko yung comment ko sa extension of life ng PCDA. Nag-submit po ako ng letter sa Congress na I do not object to the extension of life but only for the current properties within its mandate, not to expand anymore. Kasi ang earnings po ng armed forces from the BCDA properties about 2.5 to 2.25 billion a year only. Kaya nga po, ang BCDA earnings ng armed forces, ilalagay ko na lang po sa pension.
Sa PCBA.
Kasi sa modernization, di pa pwede.
Bakit?
Napakababa.
Not enough. So it will be this trust fund, the creation of the trust fund will be in the MUP or as a separate one?
No, nandun na po, nakasingit po sa House version nyo.
Okay, sa MUP.
Sa MUP po.
And
AFP Retirement Trust Fund po.
AFP retirement trust.
Opo.
Tapos sir, as you foresee, this December may pass na ito.
Opo. May papas na po yan para makapag-umpisa na kami ng creation ng trust fund next year.
Okay. Last na lang sir. EDCA, anong final sites na additional
Yung
5?
munang apat na
Ay, apat
additional.
Oh.
5, current 4 na additional, gawan muna namin. Pero, ang Philippines po ay nag-identify ng karagdagang mga bases na kakailanganin natin sa strategic basing plan na mas lalabas ito para maproteksyonan ang ating EEZ. Ngayon, kung ito'y magiging EDCA sites o hindi, wala pa pong usapan.
Open pa yun.
Pero because these are Philippine bases, kailangan natin to.
Yeah.
Oo.
More on maritime, di ba? Sa coastline.
Hindi lang yon, hindi lang yon. It's also for the integrated defense of the Philippine terrestrial domain. Dadagdag mo lang yung maritime sa aerial domain.
Mm.
Ngayon, ang akin po ay EDCA is a way also of leveraging on the construction of these facilities for logistic basing by the US. But for me, the exchange there is capability upgrades for us, which I cannot talk about because we have to pass the operational security vetting.
Di ba tapos yun? Matatapos na ba yun? House full yun.
Medyo may katagalan po yan kasi it will involve overhauling of processes from the ground level to the top. It will involve also new habits. Alam ni Gino yan, napapansin mo na bawal na magpasok sa cellphone dun sa loob.
Ganun restricted.
Ganun na.
Will this go through ratification by the Senate?
No.
Just executive agreement between the two Pentagon
Yeah, because
and
it is not a new agreement. It is just an agreement.
extension ng NDD.
No, it's a general secrecy in exchange for capability. So it's not. It's like a G2G arrangement on capability upgrades.
So, kailangan hindi pwedeng it's publicized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lalo naman yung operational procedures natin. Hindi pwede. Kahit mga kumpanya naman yung kanilang mga internet protocols at saka hindi rin naman sila pwede sabihin.
Okay. The floor is now open for your question. Gino, please identify yourself.
Morning, Secretary. You mentioned earlier that may danger na ma-compromise yung territorial defense through the infiltration. To my mind, ang naisip ko, sabi mo, the way I understood it, infiltrate the company, the economy through investments that may compromise territorial defense in whatever subversive way na gawin. No? That sounds suspiciously like yung foreign direct investments would go through the defense establishment para i-get. Paano bang operation ng isang maninira sa ating economy na mako-compromise ang territorial resilience natin o yung pag-defense? Paano ba? How does that go?
I mean, it could happen that they are also marginalizing local industries so that dependence on foreign entities increases. No, so our resilience and our self-sufficiency is compromised. I'm not saying that that's the case, but that could be the case, and there's a mechanism for that. That's in the ICC, where all of course, number one is the business case. Number two, it's the amount of expected revenue and return and multiplier effects for the country. And number three, if it's in a sensitive industry, naturally there's a security component also. But the number one criteria is, and I think it's palpable, no? Is if they employ Filipinos, but if they employ totally foreign workers, then to me that's a badge of doubt.
Red flag na, red flag.
Or follow-up lang. What about yung mga foreign entities na sinabi mong involved or maaring mag-fund ng subversive groups? At least to my mind, yun yung intindi ko dun sa sinasabi mo. Historically, there have been several, alam naman natin. Although yung motivation na time is different. How do you guard against that? Ideology dati pinaglalaban. Ngayon mukhang, well, without
It will be more difficult to do so, particularly when there's freedom of speech. No? So we don't guard against it, just as long as there's no overt manipulation of government processes. No? But if it's freedom of speech, we have to contend with that and then battle in the marketplace of ideas and let our people believe who's speaking the truth or not. No. we're not expecting also the media to side with us naturally, but just to give us an outlet to controvert their ideas.
Sir, walang danger na yung mga subversive groups ngayon na makikita, pupuntuhan somebody else para, well,
There's always that possibility, naturally. There's always the possibility, whether through covert money transfers and other means or other means. There's always that possibility. I mean, it happened also. It happened in the Russia-Ukraine war, right? I mean, it happened there. So why? I don't think the Philippines is exempted from that kind of phenomenon, especially now, where bigger nations are going on a diplomatic frenzy, particularly to divide ASEAN, to divide ASEAN solidarity. I wouldn't be surprised. On the other hand, we do not want to create a xenophobic society. That's why I'm going to address the Chinese Chambers of Commerce also, the PhilChi. But I have to stress to them that an imperative and an unnegotiable is the oath to our national territory, the oath as Filipino citizens. Particularly, they have to understand our position in government that we cannot compromise on these principles. And what's so bad with saying rules-based international order, multilateralism, and the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone? I think they stand to benefit too, because I mean, we are leveling the playing field for their markets and their growth.
Interjection lang ako, no? So, yung vetting process, as you said, there's a need to vet from your side when it comes to projects or investments that have security component.
Yes,
It's going, this is the process, the SOP at the NEDA.
yes. I think it's been the process since before. The NETA ICC is the one.
Yeah. So, hindi lahat pupuntahan mo sa vetting process.
Hindi naman lahat.
Yes. Basta may security component.
At saka, panawagan din sa ating mga LGUs. LGUs have a lot of autonomy and evolution.
Yeah.
Maging mapili din kung sino ang ipapapasukin nila sa kanilang mga teritoryo. At umaasa naman kami through the Regional Peace and Order Council sa iba pang mga convergence councils and agencies na makapagtulungan naman tayo.
Please introduce yourself.
Sir, good morning, sir. John Eric Mendoza from Inquirer, sir. Recently, sir, nagkaroon ng para dangerous maneuver itong People's Liberation Army Navy dito sa Philippine Navy vessel natin, sir, last week. Kung tatanungin ko kayo, sir, do you see this as an escalation on China's part, sir?
Hindi ko masabi sa isolated insidente. At kaya mas mabuti tanungin nyo na lang sa West Coast. On my end naman, ang instructions ng Presidente, anong mangyari dyan, tuloy-tuloy ang ating operation sa West Philippines.
Follow up, sir. Sabi ng China, sir, illegal occupants daw tayo, sir, ng Pag-asa Island. Reaction niyo dun?
Ayoko naman matawa dahil bastos naman. Pero itanong mo sa kanila kung ano ibig nila sabihin. Sasabihin nila siguro indisputable sovereignty ng South China Sea. Ilan na naniniwala to? Ang illegal occupation ay kanila. Pag kinoccupy ng Pilipinas ang Hainan Island, yung illegal occupation yun. Pero yung nandito sila within our 200-mile exclusive economic zone, sila ang squatter, illegal occupants sila dito. Pwede naman sila mag-apply ng visa, bibigyan sila ng BID. Ewan ko kung bakit ayaw.
Visa to the right. Okay.
Hi, Sir Marlene Padilla, Subongo Radio. Sir, may deployment, may possible deployment last time na binanita na 2 transport aircraft o ng Philippine Air Force para dun sa pag-repatriate ng mga kabayan natin na ikot po
Ready
sa
yun.
Manila.
Ready yun.
Opo. Kamusta na po yung update, sir?
Wala pa namang call sa amin, pero naka-ready yan. Meron tayong 2 C-130s na naka-ready.
Kasi ito commercial flight daw yun sa
Mas
Egypt.
mura kasi at saka mas mabilis kung commercial flights. Pero kung kinakailangan talaga magkagipitan, pwede na.
Pero sir, paano yun? Sir, pag for example, ginamit na nga po itong mga aeroplano po ng Philippine Air Force, paano po yung mga kamag-anak, yung mga asawang Palestinian po or ibang national?
Ay, yan ay sa DFA nyo na tanungin, hindi ko na kasasagot. Kung anong manifest ibigay nila sa Air Force, yun ang isasakay. Thank you. Sa DOJ. Nag-issue sila, walang sasabihin sa amin, nag-issue na sila ng subpoena sa mga respondents. So, hihintay nila sa court para mag-conduct ng preliminary investigation. Ay, hindi ipapile lang kaso kung hindi malakas.
Lawyer. Lawyer. Inisip mo.
Sir, may nag-comment po si dating Pangulong sa akin na po bakit daw po makakasin sa ako
Hindi pangyayari yun except sa new entrance. Dahil sa new entrance, kinakailangan natin mag-firm up ng reserves para sa pension nila at kailangan din nila na matuto, lalo na kabataan yan kasi edad mo yan. Kailangan matuto ng forced savings para sa kanilang kinabukasan.
Sir, last na. Ininok din po ni dating Pangulong Duterte na magkaroon ng lifestyle checks yung lahat ng mga government officials. And parang ang naging recommendation niya parang hindi militar ka po yung dapat magsagawa ng lifestyle checks.
Wala sa mandato ng militar ang gumawa ng lifestyle.
Thank you, Sir.
Magandang umaga po, sir. Ako po si Tomoaki Takishita from Daily Manila Shimbun, Japanese newspaper po. And I would like to ask about defense relationship with Japan. Kasi you early mentioned both country, you are aiming to conclude RAA
Yes.
or DFA, hopefully RAA by the end of this year.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. So first question po, I asked former Defense Secretary Lorenzana, that he said that there is an idea that the Philippines will put up some kind of military facilities in the Philippines. Yeah,
You mean Japan?
For Japanese self-defense force.
I don't have any such plans. For me, it's the RAA.
But based on previous RAA with Australia and with UK, the receiving state can make effort to provide access to visiting forces.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
of course.
It means in the future, Japanese self-defense force will be able to use military base dito sa Philippines.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's why there's
Access
a RAA.
only, not
Access,
access.
not basic.
Okay po. And according to the previous RAA with Australia and UK, the joint activities under RAA are not limited to exercise or humanitarian assistance. It's widely defined as cooperation activities agreed by both countries.
Same here.
Yeah, same. So, do you think there is any possibility for the Philippines get military support from Japan when you defend your territory or when you contain internal insurgency, such as Malawi siege, if ever both countries agree?
I would not want to preempt the negotiations of the RA. As you know, it is still under negotiations, and I would not want to put any preconceived expectations or notions on any other country. It's not fair. We will try to get the best synergy as possible, not only bilaterally, but interoperationally with other countries where we have an RAA. And just as long as it is for the best interests of the Philippines, then I will agree. But right now, to say specifics would not be proper.
That's the question for. Aside from RAA, Japan will provide OSA, official security
Yes.
assistance. It's free donation of defense equipment. And importantly, Japanese government is not considering realization of its defense equipment principles of defense equipment transfer, so that Japan can transfer or export lethal,
So what's the question?
yeah, lethal weapons. So what kind of equipment do you need?
I'm not going to say what we need or what we don't need here. The important thing is for the public to remember this. We are here together with Japan and other countries for one thing. That is to preserve a rules-based international order and to preserve freedom of navigation and to respect the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone of the Republic of the Philippines, because Japan is also an archipelagic country with the same situation. That is the basis of our RA,
What's RA?
the reciprocal access agreement. It's like a PFA also. So whatever permutation is taken, uh, we will see what happens. These are specific questions I cannot answer, but what I can say is that is the core interest that we are preserving. And Japan has condemned in no uncertain terms, together with a host of other countries, together with the EU, the Canada, United Kingdom, uh, European countries, some Southeast Asian countries, the aggressive conduct of China in our resupply missions. So we want Japan, of course, as a principal partner, but also as a member of the chorus of like-minded voices in the world. Let us remember that the fight for the Philippines in protecting its sovereignty, its territorial integrity, and sovereign rights is a fact of world recognition of these rights, because it is for the world to tell China and other people who want to intrude into your territory, keep to yourself. There's enough for everyone. So that is why it is important that Japan join us. On the other hand, we are also beset, being in the ring of fire, by the same natural calamities, where we need reciprocal access for our defense forces, which are the primary responders during massive and large-scale disasters. And we can share technologies. The basic technologies shared are not only with the DND, but with the OCD, DNR, and Sentai framework, for example. So, and we would like more Japanese investments, more tourists, which you can tell your people that's what we also need. Equally important to military capabilities or self-defense capabilities is the fact that we need Japanese investments, Japanese to spend their hard-earned money. Because right now, there are more Filipinos going to Japan for tourism. You're earning money of us rather than we of you. So we'd like you to share with your people the need to come to the Philippines, play golf here, spend your vacations here, spend your yen here, and invest here to create jobs once again. It was a very strong manufacturing hub for Japan before. And right now, when Japanese companies are leaving China, please tell them to consider the Philippines as a premier destination. And I trust you will do that with your news publication.
Yes, sir. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
So, ongoing pa yung negotiations with IRA on Japan. Yun lang ang active negotiation.
With Canada,
Ongoing din.
oo. New Zealand, Netherlands, UK,
Separate. Each,
separate. Oo.
marami din.
Marami.
It's related to Indo-Pacific. Ano yan?
Hindi lang sa defense industries.
Okay. So, kaya kailangan mo yung SRTP.
Well, good morning po, Sir. George Kailes po sa CNN Philippines. Good morning. Well, speaking of SRTP po, sir, you talked about the potential investment of the state. What in particular items ba tayo, sir? Tinitingnan nyo, pwede tayo mag-invest.
Marami, lalo na pag IT. Pag IT, yung disruptive technologies. Yun ang pinaka-importante talaga kasi yun ang emerging technologies na meron tayong mga scientists. Even scientific processes for creation of new material for use.
Pero human investments ang sinasabi mo.
Capital investments kailangan. Pero kailangan capitalin mo to eh.
IT. Kasi maraming tayong IT experts.
Kailangan kasi processes yun, hindi hardware. No? Let's say for gawaan ng semiconductor chips, masyadong mahal ang investment niya. Sobra. So eto muna, kasi asymmetric resilience ang kailangan natin eh. How we can, to use an example, kung totoo nga, nakita mo yung ginawa ng Hamas, sinasabi nila homemade technologies yun. Pero may nagsasabi naman na may nag-supply talaga nun na iba, no? Lalabas lang na indigenous. Pero mga ganung klase pa, mga investments ang kailangan natin. And secondly, also, we can also, in terms of civil defense, it's also research with the DOH and DOST on virus control, pandemic control, vaccines, and the like.
Sir, another topic.
Kasi you need secure facilities anyway for these.
Another topic, sir. You
Even
mentioned
perhaps THC research and use, because it's actually a painkiller abroad. I don't understand why.
anyway, sir,
Not that I've used it, but I've heard about it.
Sir, anyway, another topic. You mentioned that General Bronner informed you the commanders on the ground should remain vigilant. This is in relation to infiltration, sir.
Not only infiltration, let's not put infiltration, but increased activity of potential terrorist cells that may gather inspiration, not infiltration, from what happened. Particularly, the barangay elections are coming, they may also be some other factors that we don't want to talk about, but we can't discount.
But are we monitoring increased activities?
So far, no.
All right, sir. Thank you.
We learned a hard lesson during Marawi when
Yes.
suddenly the ISIS flags were
Yes.
raised.
Yeah.
Kaso na sleeping terrorists. Gotta look for those sleepers. Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, from FEBC Philippines, good morning. Would like to ask role of DND this coming election, and do you see any threat for that fiscal election?
Yung threats lang nakikita namin ang election disputes talaga at saka rito. The usual election violence na huwag sanang lumaki. Kasi may tendency na lumaki ito pag puyog-puyog na eh. So, ang napapansin namin is At kaya inutasan natin ang mga armed forces units na bigyan ng additional security ang election registrars at saka mga quest. Kasi nagkakaumpisa ng gulo minsan pagka walang election registrar sa lugar, walang mapapatulugan, ang mga tao na hinaing, ayan na, magkukumpulan na yan. So, yung mga girian sa politika, and of course, number one, kaya nga a national task force on disbandment of private armed groups that chaired by Secretary Abalos. That is another issue na kailangan talaga pagtuunan ng budget.
How about the plans of BRP, Sierra Madre?
Ano yun?
Yung BRP Sierra Madre.
Tuloy-tuloy yung resupply.
And then yung any para kung pagsasaayos po sa BRP.
Tuloy-tuloy yung resupply.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, may follow-up lang po ako sa dalawang activist na, sir. Saan po sa namin? May dito ba dyan?
Nandun yata sa magulang ng isang aktivista.
Dalawa po sila magkasama.
Dalawa sila magkasama to.
Tapos, sir,
Yan ang information namin.
sir, kaso perjury lang po yung...
Perjury and grave oral slander. Grave oral defamation.
Sorry, sir, po, medyo hindi po kasi ako familiar. Pero ano po yung mga sanctions po under those?
Criminal offense of 5 years yata yung perjury.
Okay.
Ito yung criminal offense, kaya pinailan namin ang criminal offense. Kaya gusto namin turuan ng leksyon na hindi mo pwedeng sinubir ng inito at trama-tramahin.
No more questions?
Kung galing lang sa salita ng sundalo ang statement, paimbestigahan mo na katotodo yan. Pero ang mga statement galing sa testigo, hindi lang sundalo, pati ang amain ng isang student, si Jet, ang amain niya, kumuha rin affidavit. Napakaraming testigo, pati yung Paulo yan. So, hindi lang salita ng sundalo to. Maraming testigo. Yeah, sigurado. Oo.
Sabi pa ako si Ellen.
Hindi ko naman masasabing airtight, nasa sa prosecutors na ayaw naman natin influensyahan yung kanila.
Sir, Mads Villar po, Arnel. Sir, regarding lang po yung sinabi dito, paano kaya natin may iwan sa paulit-ulit? Since nabanggit yung lalabas ang Pangulo ng proclamation para dun sa amnesty, palalakas yung pagbibayad sa mga rebelde na magpaano sa gobyerno. Baka kasi sumakalagin siya, magpupo, na gusto lang kayo
Ay, paglabas ng amnesty, walang tantan ng military operations. Hindi tatantan ng sila.
So, mayroon pa tayong extension para mag-iwan.
Ay, hintayin muna natin ang amnesty na lumabas sa kami ng plano. Kasi depende sa concurrence din ng Kongreso. Hindi pa nilalabas ang amnesty proclamation. Kami po ay gumagalang sa zona statement ng Pangulo. Ngunit, sa ngayon, walang tantan ng military operations.
Sir, ito annually nangyayari. SOMO, are you going to suspend?
Kung naalala mo nung ako'y nakaupo, nag-recommend ako against SOMO. Kasi, ano pa isosomo natin? Violation of the law ito eh. Yung hinahabol natin, violations of law. Hindi naman parang boxing ito, may round 1, round 2 eh. Di ba?
I'm out.
Kaya ang sa tingin ko, kalokohan na CFO move, yun yung kumita na yung
Suspension of offensive military operations during Christmas.
Doon nga kailangan vigilant ang mga ating mga sundalo sa Christmas eh. Baka nga doon mag-extort itong mga to, doon manggulo itong mga to.
Although significantly reduced na sila. Cannot take chances.
Pero if cannot take chances talaga, isang tao lang ang kailangan maggulo sa buong building.
Yes. Sir, the floor is yours for the closing remarks.
Ano ba sa implication once ma-designate sila as terrorist? What does that mean, sir, para sa atin?
Well, para sa atin, mag-freeze ang any bank deposits na ano sila, magiging proscribed organization sila, kung sino man ang kaanib nila ay subjected to prosecution. Yun ang pagkaalam ko, hindi ko na-review yung ATC law. So, yun ang implication. Mas mabuting tanong nyo na lang kay Secretary Boy kung ano yung
But you are a member of ATC.
Yes, I am, but unfortunately I'm concentrated on the organization right now. On the law enforcement side, I let the AFP handle it.
USEC mo, ilan ba USEC mo?
Ngayon 5.
Sa organization,
Apat ang integral, isang seconded, isang designated.
pag sa TNT organization na ginagawa mo, ang structure, ganun pa
Hindi
rin.
namin kailangan ng karagdagang USEC, kailangan namin ng karagdagang workers, fellow servants sa baba, tsaka technical expertise. Kasi ngayon, ang USEC at saka ASEC, at saka ako, kami mismo ang gumagawa ng correction, CSW, communication, dahil nga kulang ng tao ng papatindero sa rules. Paano tatlo? Kasi malaki pa yung bantinan ninyo sa Philippines na tayo. May stringer pa nga kayo eh. Kami wala.
Correspondent.
Oh.
The floor is now yours for your closing remarks.
Well, thank you sa lahat po sa nandito ngayon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you as candidly as I could pressing issues on the defense front. And I thank media for being objective in its reporting. That is the ideal that one can ask for. A free media and something that we cherish. And unfortunately, some people take advantage of. But that's the way the things go in this country. And it's one of the liberties which we cherish. And we are committed to upholding that liberty in the same way as we are committed to preserving the integrity of this country. Not only territorially, but also structurally. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. And it's nice to see old faces. Muli, ako rin humingi ng paumanhin sa ating host ngayon, si Ichu, dahil sa kapuspod-puspod na to. Pero sana naman, sulit naman ang pag-puspod. Dahil mas may alam na ako sasabihin sa inyo ngayon.
May bagong development pala.
Ano yun?
Yung PSG chief sa Bala, Brigadier General sa Bala, is now with you as for promotion siya. I used to talk with military PIOs as business. And one of the third place, natatalo sila sa publicity dahil ang mga leftists, they can conduct press conferences, they hire PRs. Tanong niya sa akin, pwede ba kami mag-meron? Pero hindi naman kami alam ng GOA, ng rules. Anong plano mo?
Hindi. Nag-usap kami ni General Sagala yesterday and we will have new changes in the dissemination of messages, the way we engage, the personalities also involved, not only to on the higher level, but also to connect with the Gen Zs. We need that. We need younger, dynamic people also to engage. So I'm confident General Sagala will bring a wealth of experience in the information ecosystem which the armed forces needs at this point in time.
Undersecretary Antonio is still your spokesman.
Yes.
On that note, I would like to thank also our good secretary and congratulations for your confirmation.
Thank you.
Sana you fly higher.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you next week again. Thank you very much.